Hey guys, and welcome to the beautiful madness. Yes, I'm a rubber duck of war, playing under the guise of the Blind Bandit up against Dragon the Mighty and his DAWI legions. But as you may have guessed, we are bringing Ittic Claw. Secretly, I'm an Ittic Claw main when it comes to Skaven, so should be some good fun stuff. Now, Dragon is a relatively newer player to multiplayer, and we were actually playing on one of my live streams, I think. No, maybe this wasn't on live stream. I think we just chatted beforehand. So I thought I'd bring some experimental stuff, and he rather boldly picked Dwarfs into my Skaven, so should be a good fun scrap. And let's have a little close-up look on my build. So we do have a nice little hero core here in the center with an assassin. I do forget trophy heads because I'm an idiot, but apart from that, he's coming fully equipped. We also have a Plague Priest simply coming in with the basic summon. The Plague Priest does look relatively cool, but he's not our main general today. In fact, our main general is over here, and his name is Ittic Claw. Yes, the great mad genius of Skaven kind, coming in on his rather electrifying looking Doomwheel. He is going to be coming in with the Storm Demon, as well as unlimited power, Brass Orb, and Flensing Ruin. Flensing Ruin is certainly an underrated ability in my humble duck opinion, and the negative 30 armor really helps out against the DAWI folk. It also comes in with Howling Warp Gale, just in case we have any of those nasty gyrocopter plays. On the flanks, I have Death Runners. These guys are not going to be going too far in Vanguard, just waiting in case I want to play this defensive, but likewise can whip around the flank nice and easy because there's early deployment on the flanks. Main battle line really isn't too much to laugh at. I mean, it's quite a lot to laugh at. It's nothing to really be too worried about. It's just a load of Skaven slaves. I have Skaven slaves dotted all over the place, a load of slinger Skaven slaves in the center as well, and that's because we invested relatively heavy in the long range and artillery positions of our battlefield. We have Ittic's Zap Warp Lightning Cannon, as well as a basic Warp Lightning Cannon. We have the Avalanche Mortars, the Regiment of Renown Death Globe Mortars, and Natty Bobu's Sharpshooters here in the middle. But more excitingly, arguably the most exciting unit on the battlefield today is the WARPFIRE Throwers. Now, WARPFIRE Throwers basically get no love absolutely ever. They're almost never picked. They're not considered too great. Why would you bring them when you can bring Poison Wind Globadiers? It just makes absolutely no sense. Well, I have a little bit of a fear of these guys in this matchup. Now, you may be thinking at this point, god damn, I'm going to dislike this video. I hate this duck guy. He has no idea what he's talking about. These guys have basically no AP, and they do goddamn magic attacks against the dwarfs. This is madness. Well, they have one job today, and that is to shoot slayers. They're going to be pretty good at being able to cleanse those filthy DAWI from the battlefield as quickly as possible. At least I hope so. It's kind of an experiment going with them today. For the force of the dwarves, they're taking a defensive position up on the high ground, which is a pretty standard DAWI play. In the front line, we do have miners with blasting charges backing up the Norglins Ironbreakers in the center, one of my favorite units and one of the most deadly the DAWI can field. We have Dwarf Warriors in a secondary battle line and dotted down on the rear here, although we do also have double Slayers, kind of just in case I've brought any nasty Doom Wheels, large creatures, Rat Ogres. Slayers are very swift as well, so they're quite nice pick up against the Skaven folk. We do have double Bugman Rangers in the center of the battlefield, supporting double Iron Drakes, and then we have a lone cannon, and this cannon certainly is feeling very lonely today. I have double the amount of artillery, plus Natty Bobu Sharpshooters. My opponent's going to have to get aggressive very, very quickly. We do have a Runesmith down here, which I almost never get to see because Thoric Ironbrow is so often picked, but he's coming with the Rune of Speed, Rune of Wrath and Ruin, and the Rune of Negation, and then we have Belagar Ironhammer, the dreaded DAWI himself, coming in looking for vengeance. I love his standard on the back. It makes him look pretty damn menacing. He's coming in with a Revenge Incarnate as well as Rally. So some pretty cool stuff. Let's, without further ado, get into this one. So I'm going to be advancing my formation in general, just pushing up, and as you can see, the Avalanche Mortars, as well as Natty Bobus, kind of bursting ahead of the rest of the formation, looking to get into range of my opponent. I'm trying to test him here. Make him come out of his comfort zone with the DAWI. I'm like, no, I'm not coming towards you. You're going to be coming towards me. At least once I've got in range with all my troops, that is. And I instantly unleash a deadly couple of salvos into the cannon. And we actually connect not too bad. And the Natty Bobu Sharpshooters are fantastic at sniping at artillery. They're really good at it. Looks like my opponent does know this. And he's starting to push forward a little bit more aggressive right now, because this is going to be so much damage coming in on the cannon. They still currently have all three of their artillery pieces. They're down to about half HP, so that will not last for too long whatsoever. We also are starting to unleash some deadly poison gas over the Norglin Ironbreakers themselves. It won't do the most insane amount of damage, of course. These guys are super heavily armored and do obviously come with that magic resistance, as all dwarfs do, but I want to get them off the field as much as possible. We are going to split fire a little bit, rain some shots down on the miners. You can see it does a lot more damage to them in just one volley than multiple does into the Ironbreakers, but that's certainly a bigger threat to my build in general. The cannons have been forced back, which is really good news for me, so we've certainly won the artillery fight, and now our Skaven slave slingers are going to start pushing forward, and if my opponent launches blasting charges into us, I don't mind that much, realistically, and hey, damage is damage at the end of the day. We're getting some nice pebbles onto those miners in general. Now, the avalanche mortars really are starting to tear into the ironbreakers who are choking in their own mail there as vomit is being puked up into their faces of their beloved warrior brethren here. Not too good job for them, but hey, that's why gas isn't used in war. So a load of shots come down onto the ironbreakers doing some massive damage. Belegar Ironhammer is getting hit by some really nasty shots now, but the Iron Drakes have found a lovely little patch to start to move into and just unleashing torrents of fire into the Skaven slave slingers. You can see that's kind of happening all over the battlefield as we push forward and get nice and aggressive with our troops, trying to keep the fight as far away from my artillery pieces as physically possible. Now, the Doomwheel is going to start rolling dirty. This is something Itaclaw's really good against, and I think it's one of his better matchups is the Dwarfs. You can see he's just going to use his mass to push through quite comfortably. There's not that much they can do to pin him in place, though range is certainly a big problem for us. Death Runners are moving around the flanks. One unit has been spotted, the other has yet to be. And Belegar Ironhammer, he really wants to get in there and start bringing some vengeance to the Skaven, but much like all his hopes and ambitions in lore, he just keeps getting shoved backwards, and he's not enjoying it whatsoever on a mighty 0 kills. Itaclaw has just gone absolutely haywire here, pushing into the back line and dropping a lovely orb down on the Norglin Ironbreakers, sucking them in all to that vortex where they're going to be taking considerable damage and once again, not really going to be able to get into the fight. Mortars are raining down terror now onto the Bugman Rangers, doing some really lovely damage. Natty Boboos continue to focus down Belegar at every given opportunity, but my front line has broken. Skaven slaves are constantly fleeing. I am dragging more and more reserves in where possible and rallying the troops. Warpfire throws try to get some shots in, but they are being forced back by the Iron Drakes, who are certainly the better of the flamethrower crew. Itaclaw has managed to jump on top of the Iron Drakes here, doing some pretty nice damage, just push them around and just annoying them in general. More Dwarf Warriors are starting to push their way forward. The Runesmith distracting a load of Skaven slaves, allowing the Dwarf Warriors the free reign to push in, and all my forces are kind of breaking before their might. Iron Drakes are launching shots into Natty Boboos, which isn't good for me. What is good, though, is those glorious Warpfire throwers. They're starting to burn the DAWI alive, and look at that damage off just one volley. Not only does it knock a load of the Slayers down, it only killed one model, which is, not the greatest, but that HP damage is pretty damn impressive. So if we can protect those guys, I truly think they can do some decent work up against the Slayers. You can see miners are continuing to launch blasting charges into Natty Boboos, and Dwarf Warriors are well and truly into our back line now. So I'm rather desperately going to have to start pulling back Itaclaw to try to protect this back line. We're also going to be summoning troops, moving forward with assassins, bringing in our reserve Skaven slaves, anything possible. This is really the last line of defense we have, but the Slayers are pushing through, and this is so scary as they are charging down after the Natty Boboos. We are going to hit them with another torrent of fire, although it looks like only half the shots actually went off there. Still doing some okay damage. In the back, you can see Death Runners were beaten back by Dwarf Warriors due to the support of the Bugman Rangers. The other Death Runners, however, did shatter some miners, force off Bugman Rangers, and now engaged in glorious hand-to-hand combat up against the Slayers. Over in the main fight, we do drop a glorious Flensing Ruin down, which is lowering the armor of all of these troops, plus doing damage, which is really nice for our clan rats and the assassin, because it should help us kill that Runesmith even quicker than usual, though my opponent does pop a Rune of Negation down on there. We're going to see a rather nasty orb come down once again on the Dwarf Warriors, just protecting Itaclaw and buying more time for those mortars to pour in that fire, finish off the Iron Drakes as well as the Dwarf Warriors here in the center. Now, the Slayers are still trying to hunt down Natty Boboos sharpshooters wherever possible. They're up to 24 kills now, which is pretty impressive, and they're doing a good job. They are relatively quick, and it looks like they may be disengaging and going after the Warpfire throws relatively soon. No, they're still going to continue to pursue forward. The HP damage, though, is so deadly from the Warpfires. Only on 14 kills so far, though. Some of our cannons as well are starting to lose artillery pieces, but we are driving back the hordes of the DAWI. Itaclaw leading the charge back, the counterpunch into the Runesmith. Assassin as well getting nice and aggressive. There's a big resurgence on this flank from the Dwarfs, and the Bugman Rangers are launching shots in as well, which is pretty scary, honestly, because I'm really running out of frontline troops, and I'm starting to run out of ammunition as well, which is really not good news for me. Iron Drakes are going to be pouring fire into the Warpfire throws, which they do not enjoy, given the taste of their own medicine. However, the Slayers are really just getting absolutely destroyed. We're actually going to be coming back with some Skaven slaves to try to intercept them. My opponent not moving them quick enough yet into the Warpfire throwers. Down here in the middle, Itic Claw's doing an absolutely fine job just running over Iron Drakes, and it looks like a load of Dwarf Warriors and cannon shots are once again emerging and firing in. How did I let this cannon come back online? I do not know. It's only got one artillery piece though, so it's not that scary. Warp Lightning Cannon getting a lovely raking shot down the line of the Dwarf Warriors, and in the back, we're going to get Itic Claw on top of the Slayers and just start running them over. I mean, it's not too big of a problem, though they have the anti-large. There's only 6 of them left. They have no HP. Itic Claw should be absolutely fine roasting them alive. Slayer's going to get finished off here. Up to 52 kills now in the Warpfire throws. They've done a relatively solid job, I think. The Skaven Slave Slingers are starting to move forward, but you can see the Poison Wind Mortars, or the Death Globe Mortars, as well as Itic Zap Zap, are all running really low on ammunition, and we're actually taking quite heavy casualties now to that DAWI cannon. There is 2 very weak characters on the field for my opponent, so one cannon is shooting the Runesmith, and one cannon is shooting Belegar, down to 66 HP. That is really not much whatsoever. Runesmith down to just 350. 1 or 2 good more shots, and they should be down for good. Iron Drakes are starting to push forward. It looks like the Dwarfs are rallying to the king. Once again with me, lads, and they're pushing forward. Iron Drakes leading the charge. We have a lot of Dwarf Warriors and Bugman Rangers coming back, and it looks like the Mortars have used up their last salvo. Ikit's Zap Zap cannon as well, completely out of ammo, so things are starting to look a little bit more rough though. The bounce power does love me due to how healthy my hero core is compared to my opponents, and the assassin can really do some lovely work here. So we still have this unit of Slayers on the right. The Death Runners are charging towards them, looking to pin them in place as much as possible, so we can move up those Warpfire throwers to bring the pain. Ikit is driving forward once again on top of Buckman Rangers. We do try to get away our little shot, our little magic missile onto Belegar, but he didn't want to fire for some reason, so I decided just to push forward instead, drop a Brass Orb, and we'll try that missile again a little bit later. But in comes the Brass Orb doing some lovely damage. The Plague Priest is even having to get down and dirty in combat, and we are going to be dropping a Flaming Ruin down, just trying to nuke the stats of all of these DAWI, plus do damage. And then my opponent's very close to army losses, and look at that animation. It's so freaking sick. It's such a shame we don't get to see this lore more often due to the power of summons. Warpfire throws do some good last samurai damage to the slaves, who are now pushing in to shut them down, and we do finally get to pop that glorious Storm Demon, and right into the rear of Belegar, slaying the DAWI for good. Yes, yes, victory shall be ours as we drive forward. Only the Slayers remain. They are doing a decent job trying to carve away as many of the Skaven filth from the lands before they go down. We do not have much left whatsoever. We have some Skaven Slave Slingers, 2 artillery pieces that are out of ammo, pretty much. The Avalanche Mortars out of ammo, and that's about it. We have our hero core though, which is quite nice, and Ikit is going to drive in once more and start punishing the Slayers for all the dark deeds they've done to Skaven kind. The Assassins here, we even drop a summon of Clan Rats as well, just trying to dish out the pain as much as possible. Unfortunately, the Warpfire throws, I kind of just left them in there because the bat was 1 at that point. They will be able to scuttle away to freedom. Looks like one model will be able to go back and tell the tale of the mighty Slayers who did smite so many of them. Only 11 left though. Ikit is just having a whale of a time, rolling around, dropping those magical missile shots into them, and obliterating a Slayer with every swing of his mighty Storm Demon. So it shall be a victory for us. Even the artillery crews getting down and dirty into combat. They're that excited about this fight, but I think AK is going to take the main praise for this victory. It was his strategy, his battle, and his crazy contraptions which won us the day. A Pyrrhic victory for sure, though. We didn't have that much left. Ikit was very low. We still had the Assassin and the Plague Priest, though I was basically out of Winds of Magic at this point, and then just a load of slaves and some artillery crew left. So well played to Drygon in a particularly tough matchup. I think he did a really good job, realizing early on, hey look, my cannon is not going to be too much use here. Let me get nice and aggressive. And then when he started overrunning our troops, get back on top of that cannon and get some pretty decent damage value at the end of the day, considering what it was up against. But the Warpfire throwers, did our mad scientist Ikit Claw, yes, schemes work? Well, they got 72 kills, gained a chevron, and got 1,044 damage value. Really not too shabby. Now, if your opponent does not bring Slayers, it's probably not going to be quite so glorious for them. And Death Globe Bombardiers, probably the better option 99.9999 times out of 10, but we have proven Warpfire throwers can indeed work. Are they the most viable way of doing it? Are they the best way in general to do it? Probably not, but you can still have fun with these type of units and make them work. I think they did a really good job here. Likewise did Ikit Claw. I realized I kept calling it Itic Claw the entire time, then I switched up partway through, but I corrected myself though, so it is Ikit Claw. Getting 2,510 damage value, 143 kills, an absolute road boss today. But, you know, it's Ikit Claw is what we expect from a glorious Ikit Claw main like myself. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will delve into the damage dealt, kills, and all that glorious stuff of all these units. But before we get there, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up, subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future, as well as commenting down below what you thought of the battle. Now I'm considering starting to deliver 2 videos a day rather than just 1 video a day, or a video plus a stream or 2 videos. So I think I'm going to be doing that starting from today. So YouTube algorithm kind of hates that thing, so make sure just to check out the channel now and again. I would have dropped a video before this video today, so make sure to go check it out and show it some love as well. Loads of links down below in the description if I get my words out there. Links to Twitch where I do additional streams. I think I'm doing one today over there as well. It's pretty wild at the moment. I don't really have a schedule with Twitch. I will do as it gets a little bit bigger. But yeah, links down below to that, Discord, all that standard good YouTubey stuff. But anyway, back to the glorious battle. Ikit Claw, 2,510 damage value. Glorious work there from our little rat boy. Assassin, 748 damage value, just taken off the head of that runesmith was really quite nice. Apart from that, wasn't used super much, was kind of used in a more defensive approach. Plague Priest as well, only 19 value, but hey, those clan rat summons can come in at pretty clutch when you need them. Skaven Slaves, the highlight of them, got 13 kills and a mighty 91 damage value, so basically doing absolutely nothing but holding back the enemy, and that's all they were required to do. As for the Death Runners, 471 and 394 damage value is really bad. Of course, they have Weeping Blades, they have armor piercing, but they have basically no armor, so my opponent, realizing the threat, got those Bugman Rangers, whirled around those crossbows, and just obliterated them, which can be a big problem for Death Runners in general. Skaven Slave Slingers did a decent job, 7, and 8 kills, 77 value, 133 and 119. Really isn't that garbage when you consider they still had ammunition left at the end, and they're a relatively cheap unit. WARPFIRE Throwers, we already bow down before their might, but just once again, 72 kills and 1,000 damage value. Nutty Baby Sharpshooters in so good in this matchup, so freaking good. Only 695 damage value. They mitigate the power of the cannon as well as Belagar himself. The Avalanche Mortars have always been a pretty disgusting unit, 123 kills, over 19k damage dealt, 2,875 damage value. Bye-bye Ironbreakers, you are not making it to the front line, which is pretty good news for me because I didn't have much to take them out. The Warp-Binding Cannon got 644 damage value. Ikit's Zap Zap, 1,285, 32 and 59 kills apiece. As for Dragon's forces, Belagar did not have a good day. 0 kills, 0 damage dealt, 0 damage value. Really poor work from him. And the Runesmith got down and dirty of 73 kills, but only 225 value, so a lot of that simply was on slaves. Mines of Blast and Charge, 300 value and 98. Dwarf Warriors, 41 value, 289, 221 and 93, with the standout being only 29 kills. As for the Slayers, 48 and 70 kills isn't too bad. 687 damage value and 1,062 is really nice work, being quite useful in shutting down my sniper rifles, as well as eventually in the end hopping on top of those Warp-Fire Throwers. The Ironbreakers, this is probably the lowest damage value I've ever seen them get. 39 kills, 174 damage value. It is absolutely absurd the low damage value they got there. Iron Drakes, 615 damage value and 414, but 46 and 149 kills, just clearing out the chaff. Bugman Rangers, 350 and 1,189 damage value. This unit certainly the ones who are whittling down those Death Runners from long range, and the cannons still got 700 value, getting back online and starting to bring the pain in the later stages of the game. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too little too late. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a good fun one to cast. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.